Tell me about your vision. What was your vision?
Well, I'll tell you, my vision was something similar because I'll tell you, when I was a young guy, I spent 7.5 years in speech language therapy because uh, sometimes my words didn't catch up to how fast my brain was thinking them, and my T's and my S's were jumbled together. So I spent 7.5 years in speech language therapy, and my vision as a speaker is to break down barriers towards an inclusive employment future. And the way that I look to tell organizations that is, I tell them that your life is your victory lap. And when I talk to organizations, I tell them that they hold the key to possibilities for both innovation and inclusion. Because if you embrace diversity, you also embrace things like innovation, inclusion, and new perspectives, which provides you a winning edge. So my vision as a speaker is very simple. It's to break down barriers towards inclusion and to tell people that their life is their victory lap and that they hold the key to possibilities for advancement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that vision, and it's a very strong vision, and it's all inclusive to everyone. It's a change, and it's a change that needs to happen and should happen. In regarding to overcoming challenges, how do you turn your physical restrictions into opportunities for growth?
Well, I'll tell you that I have a saying that I live my life by, and I say that inclusion is the gateway to independence, and I believe that everyone's portrait of success looks differently, and the good thing about life is that I always say that the only standard of expectations that you have to meet are your own, because if you can't rise to the level of your own expectations, it's hard to rise to the level of anybody else's. So the way that I get through obstacles and overcome barriers is saying that uh, I'm the author of my own story narrative, and I am in control of the way the chapters of my best book of life is written. And I always say that my vision of success will contribute to a prosperous future for future generations. So I look at life as a vision board of success, and everybody's vision board is different.
Absolutely, absolutely. It just reminds me of, at the beginning of the year, everybody makes vision boards, and we are all usually sitting side by side. And I tell you, no matter how many magazines that we pick out of, our picture for our vision is always different. So you are absolutely correct. Um, you mentioned success. So I have a question for you. What is success to you?
Success to me is, I look at success as an ever evolving target. And what I mean by that is I tell businesses and job seekers with disabilities or anyone that I meet is that life is a constant game of networking. It's the lifeblood or heartbeat of everything you do, no matter what line of work you're in or part of life they come from. So success for me is always networking to uncover or cultivate new opportunities for advancement. Because it's my belief that no matter how many degrees you have on a wall or how many years you went to school, you could learn something from the janitor to the president of a company. So my vision of success is always learning and uh, applying those lessons to our own vision of prosperity, because leaders who want to lead have a vision of how they want to advance forward and not stay behind uh, a vision of their life for somebody else. So I always believe that life success starts with who you want to network with, what is your vision, and what is your time frame, for getting that vision accomplished. Everyone's vision or time frame of success will be different, but it starts with what are your resources? Who do you know to get your vision in motion, and what's your time frame to get that accomplished? So that's sort of my three-legged stool of success. What are your resources? Who do you know, and what is your time frame to getting that done? And if you have concrete answers to those three questions, then you can achieve success because then you've created your own definition of the word.
Absolutely. How long have you been speaking, Kevin?
So I have been speaking professionally since 2013. So I've been at this a while.
Nice, nice. And I have one favorite question for all my guests. What are the greatest joys of what you do?
The greatest joys of what I do is helping others see the value in themselves. You know, I shared with you when I graduated college. So I graduated college in June of 2010, and I didn't get my first paying job until February 1st of 2016 because when I went on job interviews when I graduated college, I was told some version of you're qualified, but our news department staff is kind of small, and we don't think we have the resources to support you in the newsroom. So I firstly became a speaker by accident because no one else would hire me. So out of college, what I did was I volunteered for 4 straight years at a local television station in my hometown without a paycheck, and I covered a total of 50 stories in those 4 years. And I worked alongside the Ontario government to appoint a special master and advisor to look at hiring folks with disabilities within our provincial government. For those watching or listening to this in the States, it would be the equivalent of a state government in the States. So I work with our provincial government to break down the barriers towards inclusion. And that's how I got my first paying job in February of 2016. And so my vision for the future would be to work with people to realize their own value because for me to discover mine was the journey, and I want to help others do the same.
Absolutely. And I love that. I mean, you said you worked for free for 4 years.
Without a paycheck, not a lot of people would do that.
Absolutely not. And I believe that that's where your level of success in those three questions that you have to ask yourself, right? Because even though you did not get a paycheck, you were still networking, right? Because that was the key to figuring out who you know and who could get you there. But also you mentioned you started speaking pretty much on an accident. It wasn't something that you were thriving to do. You just fell into it. And I feel like you're doing exceptionally well so many years later. What's next for you, Kevin?
Well, yeah. So what's next for me is to elevate the audience that I speak to, and I also host a podcast called "Let's Have This Conversation" on YouTube. So I have two fundamental goals: it's to grow the audience or the level of audience that I speak to, and it's also to turn my YouTube podcast into a national talk show. So those are my true professional goals for sure.
Absolutely. That is so amazing. And I tell you, Kevin, whatever it is that I could do to be able to assist you, you please let me know. I don't have the tools to get you any further. However, I know many, 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 many people. So I love that you've chosen to come on here and talk about this. And I cannot wait to see the feedback of audiences and what you're discussing because it's exceptionally important. With that being said, can you please tell everyone where they can get a hold of you at or watch your podcast and speaking, and then also your social media handles?
Yeah, so you can find everything about me at kevinmcshanspeaks.com. And you can subscribe to my podcast by going to Let's Have This Conversation on YouTube and just typing my name after Let's Have This Conversation. And you can watch all of the interviews that I've done. I started the podcast about 5 years ago, and about 2 weeks ago, we surpassed 1,000 episodes for the endeavor. So a lot of people have been taking to the endeavor. So they can find me at kevinmcshanspeaks.com or on YouTube at Let's Have This Conversation.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.